patient. Send us messages through WhatsApp 0809 444 0981. That is the number for WhatsApp messages 0809 444 0981.
On Twitter, we're at Smooth981FM. Use the hashtag freshly pressed 981 so that we can easily track your messages. We're also streaming live on YouTube, so please go onto YouTube and search in the search box Smooth 98.1 FM, and you'll be able to use the live chat option as well to send us messages.
Our first story is very, very interesting. It's like a movie that is Nigeria. But from the Vanguard newspaper, Didmade, the full accounts. Very interesting to see the police work so effectively in their investigation and the details that are revealed here. We find that the kidnapped suspect has been on the run, the one that allegedly the soldiers were protecting and caused them to take the lives of policemen. Wodumo, he has been said to be a very prominent man in the B community, and at the time he had so much influence that he was such a philanthropic person. But it comes as no surprise. But looking at the details of the story, some of which have revealed allegedly revealed the identity of the captain, the army captain, who allegedly ordered the soldiers on security check at the Bijalingo Expressway in Taraba State to attack and kill police operatives. Please take us through the story. It's very lengthy but very interesting.
Okay, first of all, I like the way you use the word allegedly.
Mm.
Just to be sure.
Mhm.
Well, just like you said, the story is actually quite fascinating. It sounds like something from a blockbuster movie,
Yep.
really. Where you have a renegade soldier, partner with a kidnapper, and provide cover and protection for that kidnapper to the extent of willing to take the lives of Nigerian policemen, in order to protect that person. And it's kind of funny because I read about this man, this Wadume guy,
Mm.
and about a few days ago, and apparently he used to be a fish seller. This is as about 2 years back, and all of a sudden he just became rich. All of a sudden he had a big house. All of a sudden he started doing things for the people, started doing things for the community, and he eventually ventured into politics. Now it just shows one thing about Nigeria and our moral stance when it comes to money. Just bring the money. We
Mm.
don't know, we don't want to know where you got it from or how you got it.
Mm.
Because in a saner climb, a person like this would have been asked some questions like, you just blew up all of a sudden. Where did you get the money from? But nobody was asking him as long as they got something from him. But back to the story, the unscrupulous army captain was even apparently not in the state
Mm.
at that time. He just called his boys, and there's been an exchange of about 191 phone chats between him and Wadume. Now, that is obviously evidence of an existing relationship. Come on, man. I have friends that I don't even have up to in, let's say, 10 chats
Mm.
with them in a long time.
But
And these
if you
guys have
have 199 conversations
in
in
the
the
space
space
of
of
a
a month,
month. Yeah, yeah. So
that is some level of intimacy that
yes,
you would have
very much,
established.
very much. So that means that they were talking almost every day and most times multiple times
They
a
do.
day. So
Mm.
they were definitely friends. If not friends, it's definitely had a relationship, which is very shocking. Then another thing is the fact that the other soldiers who were involved had said that it wasn't their fault and that they were strictly following his directives. And for soldiers now, when they tell you to do something, you just have to do it, especially when it's coming from a superior officer.
Why is the identity of the army captain not released yet?
Well,
And the soldiers.
one, the army will always try to protect its own, and they'll just try to keep this thing in wraps. If it's a civilian now, we'll have seen their
We have
pictures
policemen who lost their lives.
everywhere.
We know them. We know who they are. We know who their families are.
Well, what they're going to tell you is that there is an investigation ongoing to see what is actually going to come out of it all. And the president has said that he's not going to make a statement until he gets a report
Mm.
of what the investigations are. But just like I said, the army is protecting itself, and I'm not surprised. In fact, there are even more parts of the story which says that the Wadume guy was able to buy arms from a certain arms dealer
Mm.
which has been supplying him for some time. Said he bought the AK-47s for about 800,000 naira each, and he bought about 6 recently, while he had bought about 10 before. And they also sold them bullets. Now, there's also the issue of the police officer who was bribed to tell the soldiers that this IGP team that came to town did not report to the station, when in fact they actually reported to the station. And when they had arrested the Wadume guy, they actually went back to the station to confirm that they finished what they came to do, and that they were taking the kidnapping suspect back to Abuja. Just hit the fan. So I'm very surprised that Nigerians have not really come out in a bigger criticism of what is going on now. Some of our soldiers, not all of them, but some of our soldiers are going rogue, and it's really troubling. Yes, it's something we should always stay alert of. It's something we should prevent. It's something we should look into.
Thank you, Adedumade. Worrisome story there. We'll go into more details much later, but let's take the conversation on social media. Twitter is it's at Smooth981FM. The hashtag is freshly pressed 981. Am from Akoka sent in a message on
It
WhatsApp.
says we have always known that monkey hands have joined human hands in the soup. The reasons for our inability to defeat insurgency are not far-fetched. The rise of rogue elements within our security architecture is quite disturbing. Echo speed investigation.
All right, Devo, let's go through this next story from the Daily Times. The Chief of Army Staff, or Chief of Air Staff, pardon me, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar says that the military had substantially contained emerging banditry in some parts of the country, in addition to the successes recorded in the fight against insurgency in the northeast. We hear a lot about their personal scorecards. What does this one entail?
Once again, it is our duty to speak truth and also check it when it's required. I'm sick and tired of sound bites coming from people in government, especially executive, and in this case, those handling the security matter, that's the military, the police, etc. and co. We never get to hear the truth about the incidences. We always hear the spin, and it's not in tandem with reality. And here again, the Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar is stating throughout the article about how well they have improved the situation with banditry. I don't know where he's getting his facts from. Now, being the official, what I do expect, because when you start to make claims that you have in many of the operations within the Northeast where bandits were operating, that it's now secure, the Air Force has been given more equipment. I would love to ask who live there, is this the reality of your situation?
Yeah, but he didn't say all. He didn't
No,
say
I didn't say he said all.
Defeated.
Making progress. What are your bases for progress? Now, if I speak from a layman's terms, we've had sporadic and numerous and multiple reported and unreported cases of banditry nationwide. Now, are we at the point where we begin to say that we've begun to make progress, that the security forces have addressed the situation? Now, one thing, let me tell you what I expect from them, especially from military officers who are trained. Remember, the military officers are not people who just run by off the street. They are trained people in security and intelligence. One, I need to see a dashboard. I need to see something that records all the cases that take place, the incidences. I want people to gain confidence in reporting these things, because most times they claim that the people, the masses, have not been given them the necessary cooperation in reporting these cases. I want to see a dashboard where we begin to report cases that happen and not them or reducing the number. Okay. Secondly, within that dashboard, we begin to see, okay, this case was dealt with in Borno State. The case that took place on Tuesday was dealt with how many days after?
The case was closed on
yes.
Saturday.
Then we can begin to say, okay, out of the 90 cases that took place within these 2 months, we have dealt with 65, remaining this. Let's get a bit technical about this. Secondly, I need to hear from the people. A litmus test. Are you safer? Are you having a better case? Can you walk out on the streets? Just on Salah Day, a friend of mine was murdered in Kaduna shortly after taking money from the ATM to celebrate Salah with his family from bandits. They stabbed him to death. He was buried on Salah Day. Do you think I believe the army officer when he says this, when I know this is going on just 2 days ago? Beyond this, these bandits that have sporadically taken over the country to some extent, who are they? Have they been held to book? Have they passed through the legal process? Can we say we have arrested and charged so number of bandits to courts? if not being released, like we just heard in the earlier story.
They have to be
I
identified
mean, we,
first
we
before
don't
you
know
charge.
these people anymore.
Mhm.
It seems like we're fighting a war. We're spending money on the military and defense apparatus, yet we don't even know who it's going up against. Please.
Thank you, Devo. Our next story touches on very similar issues from the Vanguard this time. Adinumade, I'll come back to you for your analysis on this. An elder statesman and a legal luminary, Chief Afeola, yesterday called on the president to convene a sovereign national conference as a panacea to the myriads of problems that are threatening the unity of the country. He said it's a very important a step to take. He said the conference and the change of the constitution will be the way out of the precarious situation Nigeria and Nigerians find themselves. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, Chief Afe is one of the lawyers that I respect so much. His practice has been an example for most of us who are still in practice today.
Oh, really?
Now, he's a great guy. Then, aside from that, this call for a national conference is amazing. But the truth is, we've had so many conferences in the past. We had one quite recently in 2014 where we had about 500 Nigerians come together during the Good Luck administration. Yes, but the truth is, we hold these conferences, and when they bring a report, we just shelve the report. So if we have another conference now, are we having it because we just want to talk, or are we having it because we want to create solutions to the myriad of problems that we have? And when we have the report, are we going to act on it? That is the question. Now, also, there's another issue that comes up. I remember that during the 2014 confab, there was one thing the president at that time said, that the question of Nigeria's unity should not be discussed. Now, I believe that as a country, we need to discuss that because now we're in a situation where some people are claiming they are the ones that own Nigeria, and it's more than one group of people that claim they are the ones that own Nigeria. And I'm like, okay, who really owns Nigeria? I thought we owned it collectively.
So it's based on those sort of those kind of rhetorics. You know, if like there's an analogy that I shared with Devo some 2 weeks back when I said to him that if you have an issue that's happening and is affecting an estate, and you find, for instance, a neighbor drops refuse in front of your house and you can't identify the particular neighbor, or you don't even know it's your neighbor, it's an outsider that steps in. What do? If you can't find anybody to point to, you call a meeting, right? That's usually the way to go. And you call everybody together to have a conversation to find ways to resolve it, either in identifying the culprit or just putting measures in place so that you can catch the person set traps, right? But this is the kind of conversation that essentially Obasanjo has called for. Femi Falana has indicated, suggested to the government, and now Babalola.
The thing is this, there are a couple of issues we need to talk about, definitely, and a lot of them are constitutional, fine. But you see, everything goes down, but boils down to our unity. If we're not happy being together, then no matter what we say, no matter how many plans we create, they will not work.
Yes, but
There is
can I
one
add?
thing that I would like young Nigerians to do. The truth is, a lot of these older Nigerians have their experiences in the Nigeria that they know. And that is why you notice that a couple of our parents always pass down their affairs to us. Don't get involved with someone from this tribe. Don't go and work in this state.
Until you decide to learn
Yes,
for yourself.
we have to decide that. Look, because I have a lot of friends that are from different tribes. I'm great together, and we hang out and we bond. So I believe that we have to decide to take the step forward and determine the kind of Nigeria that we want.
I would like to say that the youths did come together during the election, and the people they voted for, who is in presidency now, does not want discussion on sovereignty. Okay, that is not going to happen for the next 4 years. Secondly, because it's too volatile. Secondly, this issue of Babalola's position, in as much as many people were against it, I think it was being very simple in his logic. If you're not going to take the resolutions of the past national conferences, then do it again. Then that's not an excuse also for the National Assembly, who already have that job to make those laws, to do their work. So those fat cats, the pressure needs to be on them.
All right, let's take some comments on WhatsApp. Samuel from Lekki says, seriously, he's talking about the GSM services being, he's receiving many messages from his GSM providers Goma Chidoze says, we're not interested in what is happening between the army and the police. Let me ask what sane society would recruit Boko Haram into its army in the name of reformed terrorists? Even the child yet unborn knows this is wrong. And then Oyewole on a lighter note says, Ebony Live Production, here's your action movie. And then Ido from Lagos says, I think the media is not doing enough justice to this incident. I expected all media houses to be on this issue 247. This is a very serious case and should be treated as such. If this happened in the US, I'm sure we all know how the media around the world will go bizarre. I guess we try to bring this on the table every day. Let's move on to other stories.
Now that we mentioned telecoms, let's look at this story from Daily Times. Is for your analysis, Devo. Nigerian Communications Commission, they have plans to demolish about 693 masts that have been abandoned. But ATCON, that's the Telecommunication Companies of Nigeria, the Association of Telecoms Companies, they have said that the action will send wrong signals to likely investors. But we know that Nigeria requires about 80,000 towers to assist its migration to the fifth generation cellular technology, 5G. Although 4G, I don't know how widespread 4G is right now. Effectively, I feel like we have service for 2G.
Oh,
That's what we
wow.
receive. But
That's a hit.
let's no. I mean, true. But let's looking at this story objectively, Devo. Your thoughts on?
Yes, for some time now, we've been aware about this. NCC did give the operator time to be able to address those masts that were within limits that were not safe, especially for aviation flights and air traffic control. Now, they gave them a certain period, of which in the letter, in the article, the NCC spokesman did say that many of the operators didn't even come up to identify the masts that were there to be able to address the issue. Therefore, they had exhausted every avenue